Assalamu alaikum and Eid Mubarak to everybody who is celebrating Eid all over the world. Eid, as we all know, is just not about new clothes and enjoying delicious feasts. It is a day on which we must ideally count our blessings, be grateful for them, give back to the society. It is a day on which we must come together to celebrate. And this is exactly what we'll be doing today. We have this amazing lineup of guests with us in the studio with whom we'll be celebrating Eid. Without wasting more time, let me introduce you to this extremely diverse lineup of guests that we do have with us on today's special Eid show. So my first guest for today's special Eid show is Ms. Huma Ijaz. She's a legal and a policy expert. Assalamu alaikum, Huma. Eid Mubarak to you. Thank you for joining us.
I have very happy Eid to you too.
My second panelist for today's show is Ian Riley, who is a head of school alongside being an IB expert. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us, Ian.
Eid Mubarak to you.
Eid Mubarak to you as well. My third panelist for today's show is Ms. Zainab Shah. She's an entrepreneur alongside being a known chef. Assalamu alaikum, Zainab. Here's wishing you a very happy Eid.
Walaikum assalam. Khair Mubarak and Eid Mubarak to all your viewers.
Thank you. Ms. Huma, I would like to start the show with you. Now, we do know that, of course, Eid is that one occasion where we all come together, we all celebrate. But when it comes to, your typical celebrations, because I do know that you're a very busy lawyer working round the clock all the time, how do you typically navigate your way through? What is your typical Eid day like?
My typical Eid day starts with obviously family. The entire family after namaz wants to come over because my house is the center for everyone, for my brothers, for my father also, everybody, they all want to come. They want to get together there for a nashta. So we have a breakfast, which is like, the typical semia that we have. We make that, I make that, and we would have
So
a
you
puri
cook as
and
well on
everything.
Eid?
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
make semia.
You make
Not the
semia.
rest of the breakfast,
Just the
the
semia.
eggs and all that.
That's
so it's like
good.
a big breakfast that we have together, all of us after the namaz. And it's really something I really look forward to, and that's how the day starts.
Right.
And then there is a big family lunch at my father's house later.
That's like a family tradition.
Yeah, that's family tradition. It's later and it's usually around 2:30 p.m. Everybody gets to the house by 2:30. So then we have a long lunch that day.
Right. And so there's no room for dinner. after
There is
that,
no room
basically.
for dinner. That kind of lunches which go into, and the tea and everything. After that we just do meet up people, friends and everybody. So it's a very family day.
Right.
Actually, the
and
first
a much
day of
needed
Eid.
family day, because I do know that as a lawyer you're working all around the year 24/7, and also you happen to travel a lot that way
Yes,
as well.
and then there are like cousins coming, and the family that you mostly only usually you meet on Eid. So extended family and everyone. So it's like one full day is just family.
It's just, and it's good to keep it that way.
Yeah.
I'll come towards you, Ian. I think your Eid would be something that people would be very interested to know about, because you are a foreigner living in Pakistan, that too for the past 5 years now. You came here in 2020. But interestingly enough, you have your family in Bali, which you keep visiting, because whenever I've spoken to you around New Year's time, you've been telling me that you've just flown back in. So how do you typically celebrate your Eid? Do you take this as an opportunity to go back to Bali to visit your family, or do you just celebrate it here in Pakistan?
So again, I think this is quite unusual because, my family is Muslim. So I see that half of my family is Muslim, half my family is Catholic.
Okay.
Right, which complement each other at the end of the day, and the values behind it as well. So my Eid day starts off, spending time online with my family in Bali, because I do not fly back due to exams of the kids
Right.
at school. And then I spend the rest of the day, with friends. So Huma was talking about making eggs. Huma's far more healthy than I am. Beef nahari is
Right.
my main dish, and hava puri.
And what
are
about
the two
sheer
dishes.
korma? I'm sure you must be.
Absolutely.
I know you're big on sweets. You like
Yeah.
sweets, right? But do you also cook? Because she cooks. So do you also cook, or do you just eat?
I do cook.
You do cook?
And I love to cook.
Well, like Pakistani food.
Pakistani food I have not mastered yet. And, I can cook Mexican food. I can cook Chinese food. I was in China for 10 years. And I do love to cook.
Right.
But, the other thing about Eid Day, apart from spending time with friends as well, is giving back. So, you know, as a head of school, we tend to take children over a number of days to like SOS Village or different charities.
That's amazing.
You know, to actually help give back with clothes drives, with ED, you know, different ways to actually get it done.
And definitely, Ian, and that is something which is very important because I do feel that when it comes to bridging that gap between our Eid celebration, that needs to be done, especially between children who do get an opportunity to celebrate it perhaps in a more lavish way as compared to the others. So coming towards you, Zainab, I think we must talk about this from your perspective as well. Now, we do know that you, grew up in Peshawar, and recently in the past 3 years, you've shifted to Lahore, that too for work. So how have your Eid celebrations changed, more particularly since you shifted to Lahore?
So before Eid used to be the same as everyone here on the panel said, with family and friends. Since I've moved here, I've not celebrated Eid with family, but my work staff, they're my family, and many of them don't go home on Eid, so we kind of celebrate together. And because of people like us, we're giving a chance to some women out there to not spend their whole day cooking, and we provide that to them.
Right.
So I think that's my way of giving back a little
to the society.
a little bit
That's
on
good.
Eid.
But you see, another way to look at it would be, I do know that you're very committed to your work and you love cooking, because whenever we visit your restaurant, you're on top of everything, physically supervising everything. But a lot of times on the converse, women also complain that, they get drained because of all these household responsibilities, which actually includes cooking. So how do you, as a working woman yourself, find that ideal balance to have your own me time, but at the same time do what you have to?
It's very difficult, but one has to. I'm one of those people who thinks that if I'm not happy, my work is not going to be good. So I have to make time for myself. I manage our timings. I manage my personal time around the restaurant and around my profession. But it of course helps if my work is my passion. So to me, even though I'm cooking for so many people on Eid day, I'm still enjoying. That's how I celebrate Eid now.
Right, and of course, see the perspective, I think it changes person to person that way. Coming towards you, Huma, I think here we must also talk about, the way we've seen society involved and the way we've seen our Eid celebrations change too. Now, in this regard, we do see that over a period of time, social media apparently has taken over. It's more about perhaps posting the right selfie, putting your best foot forward, as opposed to living in the moment. So as somebody who has grown up in a time where social media was definitely not so prominent and, celebrations therein too, how do you compare and contrast that experience of, growing up and celebrating Eid as it is to what it is now?
I think the essence is missing. Especially you should teach your kids, your children at home, that how Eid is something to enjoy. For example, starting with the cards. Before we used to send Eid cards, now we don't send them anymore. Now
it's a WhatsApp forward.
It's a WhatsApp forward. I mean, it's impersonal, but it works for everyone. It's convenient. Then we start with the Eid day celebrations. As soon as anybody is ready, they will just take their selfies and they just post that, or it's all about putting those perfect picture and all that. But what about the essence?
Right.
Essence is, okay, we all get together, we break bread, as they say. We share a meal together. You meet your relatives that you have not, taken time out all year, or your children get to meet family, and it's like a celebration which is to be done with a lot of love with your family, with your friends. It's not about taking the right picture, being at the right spot, and
or even for that matter, Gen Z sleeping through Eid. Now, this is a very common trend that we do come across.
Well,
a lot of people just sleep through it, or they choose to travel.
And they take pride in it.
Right, and they take
we
pride
slept
in it.
through Eid.
Right. Zainab, I would want you to add to this because it relates with your line of work too. When we do talk about, this entire restaurant and eating out culture, we do know that when it comes to Eid and timings around Eid, definitely you do see a boom. A lot of people, even on Eid, they perhaps might prefer going out and eating in restaurants as opposed to making home cooked food too. So how do you then compare this with perhaps maybe what was the case when the pandemic was here? Because I do know that you opened up your restaurant when Pakistan was actually fighting through the COVID-19 pandemic. So how do you see the food industry trends, they change over time, and them in turn impacting our Eid celebrations?
So in COVID-19, most restaurants had to shut down. A lot of them suffered a lot. And for me, that was very sad because so many people lost their jobs. Home-based businesses did really well, and a trend of actually homemade food, but it's still commercial. You're getting it from somewhere else, but it is homemade. So I think that's a positive change that came out. And after COVID restrictions were over, a lot of restaurants, I've seen a boom in the restaurant industry, which again I think is great. I personally think that there should be something for everyone. So if somebody wants to go to a restaurant, that's great for them. It's available. But if we want to hold on to our traditions, we have to make that effort. We have to make sure that children are not using their mobile phones and taking pictures during a meal. I think pictures should not be allowed at the dining table. I'm old school like that. So even though for my business, it helps when people come and take pictures and post, but I also get very upset thinking, oh, the food is going to go cold and then it won't taste good.
You need to have that ideal balance between, you know, having a modern Eid celebration and, you know, keeping up with our old school traditions too.
Absolutely.
How would you comment on that, Ian? Because I know you would have your own very interesting narrative on this, practically because you've just not celebrated Eid in Pakistan, you've also celebrated in other Muslim countries, and your wife is also Muslim by that virtue. You did celebrate Eid in Turkey, and then you've lived in Egypt as well. So how do you compare and contrast our Pakistani Eid celebrations with that of other Muslim
I think
countries?
it's actually very interesting, you know, what's been said by my two colleagues here. I think Huma is absolutely correct that in many respects we've lost the essence of what Eid actually means, you know, which is that family time, it is that giving back, it is that reflection that you still see in other countries. And, you know, I think the comment that you made at the start of the show, you know, where it was all about people going to restaurants, everything's about food. Yes, it's a part
Making
of
new
it,
clothes.
but it's in many respects it's overtaken.
Of course, I agree.
You know, what has actually happened. So I think we need to get back, and this comes back to education.
So do you feel, if you were to make a comparison that way, Ian, in Pakistan and Pakistani socio-cultural context, that is comparatively perhaps more, as might be the case in Turkey or other Muslim countries?
I think what we need to do from an education aspect is we need to truly educate, you know, the children of today of the meaning of Eid, right, and the importance of Eid.
Right.
Okay, because I'm saying this as a Christian, right, and you know, we teach the importance of Christmas. Now, Christmas has also lost its meaning because it's become commercial, and that sadly is what's happened to Eid.
Right.
So,
I think not only the social essence that way, also the spiritual aspect to it as well. And also in addition to that, a lot of times I've come across teachers and educators who might be complaining that after the Eid holiday break, somehow students, they don't get their motivation to, you know, just get back into that studying mode. Have you observed that as well? Because you have to reset yourself, get out of that holiday mode, and then, you know, get back to studies too.
You know what? It's our job as educators to make sure that we motivate the students, right? And, you know, again, you're a very passionate restaurateur, you know, and of course you're always there. Huma will say I'm always there for the students. So it's our job to ensure that the children are motivated and ready to get back in.
Right. And also perhaps to some extent the parents as well.
And I
Absolutely.
And I think you would agree, since you've been sending your child to TNS.
Yeah,
that's how you know
I
him.
think they also have this thing where you're supposed to come in your Eid clothes and, you know, bring
We do.
Eid
all
things.
those Eid gatherings.
And you Eid gatherings, and it's nice. And by the way, I happened to be in Middle East the one Eid in Dubai, and I really like the way they actually celebrate Eid. It's all so festive, the entire city, the families are all out.
And
so
also
it's a
I would
very
like to leave
festive,
Chand
the
Raat as
entire,
well, Huma.
the entire Ramzan
Ramzan,
and
हाँ.
everything. So I really like it here also now in Lahore, as you see, till Sehri, all the restaurants are open. So it's a festive time. You want to be out, you want to be doing things, you want to...
You want to enjoy.
Yes, so it's a very festive month which culminates into Eid, and Eid somehow becomes very slow and very dead Although I think there should be, you know, fun fairs and
Yeah.
there should be.
But in addition to that, I think here we must also talk about the way Eid and Eid celebrations generally impact Pakistan's entertainment industry. In this regard, we have seen that a lot of times, a lot of movie releases, they are actually planned around Eid time. So, do you not feel that this has, in ways more than one, impacted traditional cinema viewership as well?
Yes, I feel that on Eid day, unless it's a big blockbuster, like I remember there was a film by Ali Zafar and it was a big blockbuster, and you know, something like that is happening, okay, fine. Everybody will go to the cinema. Otherwise, people are hooked onto their screens at home. There is so much good material in plays, in different channels, and they are excellent plays. They are worldwide renowned now. Our dramas, our plays.
We even have these Ramadan and Eid
Yes,
special
it is
plays.
Ramadan Eid specials,
Right.
and then I was just reading. There's a special film that is coming of a very famous star, telefilms, Eid telefilms,
Right.
and Eid fun plays. So people will like to
They have a
watch
lot of
that
forms
with
of
their
entertainment,
family,
right.
and they like that kind of entertainment. They will go to the cinema, but there has to be something worthwhile. And people have found that in a form of OTT, in form of our
Online
TV
streaming
channels,
platforms.
but even our TV channels, I must say, the plays are amazing,
Right.
and online platform. But usually I've seen people like to watch our own TV plays because they relate more to our culture,
Right.
and it's all about that. So
And also the Eid, never-ending Eid shows
yes,
too.
yes.
So what do you like about Pakistani Eid shows? Do you watch them or do you not watch them?
I don't watch them. However, students do come into my office and update me on what's happening, which I find highly entertaining.
You're right.
You know, because I don't actually watch TV.
You don't watch TV?
Not really, no.
Not at all. So how do you keep yourself updated then?
So
Social media?
social media and apps. So the BBC World app. You know, I'm very much a online person.
Right.
I'm not a TV person.
Right, Ian. Coming towards you, Ms. Zainab, I think here we must also talk about the latest fashion trends as we do see them evolving in Pakistan over a period of time now. Every year we see that there's a certain kind of trends that people very religiously follow. So are you that kind of a person who is very religiously following all the fashion trends, and that is what you keep in account when you do, you know, design your Eid outfit? Or do you just go by whatever you feel comfortable in?
I absolutely, because I'm not from the social media generation, and this is another impact that social media has had, where people want validation. Before, we wanted validation from just a few people around us, and their opinion was enough. Our mother telling us, don't wear this, it doesn't look good, that, or our elder sister. Now we want validation from the rest of the world, and that's never going to happen. It's so important for people to be comfortable in who they are, especially women. Just when worldwide women have made so much progress, we were just becoming comfortable with who we are, and because of social media, they're making us doubt ourselves, and younger women, they fall prey to this.
Right.
The self-doubt is one
I think it's
reason.
a double-edged sword. At one point, it actually helps you perhaps making more informed fashion choices, but at the other end,
Absolutely.
it also has that dark side. It kind of pushes you into a corner too. Huma, I think here we often come across people ordering online too, and that is also something that we need to talk about. It's just not about going to the store, physically buying your Eid dress. A lot of times people would just go to a website and order the dress. So I think here it's very important to shop responsibly as well. So as a lawyer on the Eid show today, what advice would you give to people? Because a lot of times we see that, you know, these orders might not just turn out to be what they expected them to be on websites.
yeah, so interestingly, I had somebody wanted me to take them to consumer court for this. For exactly this issue, that what they ordered, they looked, and when it reached just
Right.
like 2 days before
Because it's a
Eid,
very real issue.
It's a very real issue.
It's a very
2 days
real
before
issue.
Eid, and they had paid something like 70,000, 80,000 rupees or whatever for outfit, and they were like shocked, and they were like, no, this is not what we want, and they contacted the designer, and the designer said, no, this is what you get here. So they wanted me to take them to, and I did, because they were like, it was. They said it's about the money as well as, more important, it is about that it is an occasion, and if we
Right.
could not wear something on that occasion, then it's not worth it.
There's
This
no
is what
point
we
to it.
got. So it's very interesting that on when we order on e-commerce, the things that you look at and you don't get it, and usually they get away with it. The reason is they're like, oh, just please message only, don't call us, don't do this, don't
So
do
it's
that. It
easier to
happened to
fool
eat
people.
cakes as well.
Right. So many other things.
Yes,
basically.
people had ordered Eid cakes to be delivered to, various this thing, and the person was like not picking up the phone, and the person got upset that why are you calling me?
Right.
You're
And
just
on
supposed to
it
contact
happens
with
to
me only
people
on Instagram.
Weddings as well. Ian, has that happened to you ever, or are you very happy because you don't show up for Eid?
Well, no, I think actually I need Huma's
Right.
help as a lawyer because, being small as I am, every time I order small, it doesn't fit. Right? So, Huma, we need to take these people to court.
Yeah.
Now, you say I don't do Eid shopping. That's
You do
not
eat shop,
quite
but today
true.
you're not wearing shalwar.
No. So, I went to the tailor's for obvious reasons the other day, for 2 dress shalwar kameez for Eid.
Right.
Yeah, because
And for
it's-
my show.
And for your show.
Right.
But it's not coming till tomorrow.
Oh.
Right. So I do apologize, viewers. I wanted to look good for all of you, but I still look good as a Gora.
Gora enjoying Eid in
Absolutely.
Pakistan.
Absolutely.
So, okay, you tell me. So, what do you like about Eid? I do know that Pakistan as a country has so much to offer to foreigners living here, from our rich cultural heritage to our amazing tourist attractions. But when it comes to Pakistanis and Pakistani culture, what is it that you like about us, that too particularly on occasions like Eid?
For me, with Pakistanis, one of the most, impressive things, and I've watched many of the tourists visiting Pakistan giving the same feedback, is how friendly everyone is, and they want to give.
Hospitable.
And it's so true, because if you go down to the old town, and they're offering you free food, they're offering you tea, they're all bringing you into their houses, and it's a family. It's more like a community.
It's more like
that's
a community.
together and connected.
Right.
And that is what's kept me in Pakistan, because I've got to be very honest. What people think about Pakistan outside is not what Pakistan really is.
Right.
And it's sad, because it's the most caring country that I've been to. Please don't tell anybody in China I said that.
And you keep saying that to every country you live in
I
for
do.
a period of time.
I know,
right?
but I spent 10 years in China. I loved it. But Pakistan,
But
I've
I
got
think
to say,
Pakistani's hospitality, that is something that is completely
you
unmatched.
can't beat
right?
it.
Right. Zainab, would you want to add something to what he just said from your own perspective?
First of all, I want to say I'm very envious of you because traveling and food for me come together, and you've lived in so many countries, and I'm thinking, oh, he's probably tasted so much more food than I have, so I'm feeling a little envious. Also, I have spent one of my Eids in Bali. So, because there was no family there, it was all about food. I dressed up. I still dressed up. I wore my earrings and my fancy clothes.
And you ate all day.
I ate all day. I also learned how to cook from the locals. So, but I want to say thank you. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, that we've made you feel welcome here, and it feels very good to hear an outsider. Well, I can't really call you an outsider now. You're one of us. Once you're in Pakistan,
He's
you're
here for
one
the
of us.
longest time, and he has
Yes,
more
you're a
Pakistani
Desi
friends
Gora.
than practically all of us do.
But
And he's gelled in so well.
Yeah, absolutely. And our hospitality is something that I take a lot of pride in, and anyone who's come to my
I think all
restaurant
of
would
us
know
do, all
that
of us
in my restaurant also, my customers are my guests. They're not customers, and I try to make them feel that way. And I think that this is one tradition that we should never
Carry
let
on.
go of,
That's
or we
very
will
true.
lose who we are.
I agree 100%. To which you wanted to add something, Huma?
Yeah, I was just mentioning that I spent one Eid in London, and trust me, there was so much Pakistani community, as you know, there, and they celebrated it just like Pakistan. I mean, I didn't feel I was away from home, so it was very nice, and everybody was involved, and the local community there was involved too. Not only Pakistanis, the local British community as well, and they all were visiting each other's houses, and it was really nice. Actually,
I think when you're celebrating Eid abroad, perhaps there's a greater pressure, because even when I was studying in London, there's greater pressure on you to connect with your Pakistani community
Yeah.
and keep that Pakistani tradition alive. So perhaps in ways more than one, maybe you actually do end up celebrating it in more of a Pakistani way as opposed to living here.
Yeah.
But when we talk about Eid, I think here what's very important to talk about is that spirit of giving back, and that is something that he also very rightly so mentioned about. When we talk about zakat, when we talk about fitrana, a lot of times we see that, you know, people would do their charity, but perhaps they would not ensure that it is reaching the right people. So
Yes.
how do you propose can people ensure that they do charity, but they also ensure that it actually counts?
One thing that people need to do on Eid is obviously give to known charities. They should give to hospitals for sure, because they're known charities, educational institutions who are doing for special children, for deaf children. I know there is this institute. So they should identify, and I think people are pretty well aware that to give to right charities who are registered. Do not give to unregistered charities, give to registered charities, and give to all these and you can just go online and you can actually see which is registered and which is not registered. That's the difference, and it's a huge difference, because you don't know where the money is going in an unregistered charity, because they are not even meeting the criteria that has been set by the laws for them to be a charity. First of all, they are not a charity if they're not registered.
Right.
So
You
this
need
is
to do
my
your
message
homework
to-
yourself. You need to be
no,
extra
you can just
diligent
go
in
and
so
look on it. They give you a registration number. They give you, and you give online donations, which are registered. So they are not like cash. So even if you're giving fitrana, for example, you should give fitrana as calculated, and you should try to give, of course, somebody that you know, because they are deserving families. You know
Right.
them, and you can send them fitrana, or you can give it online. I would recommend that,
Right, that's
rather
very
than
right.
giving cash. And one thing more that, you know, what people can do is, a lot of orphan children or poor children, they never get to wear new clothes. But it's not necessary. We
Right.
make clothes all year.
Right.
So even if you wear some old outfit
Right.
and you
You
know
need to repeat
you can
outfits
repeat
too,
it, it's
right.
okay, but make sure that you give new outfits to all those families
Right.
who cannot afford it.
Right. And charity should also, to look at it from another perspective, Homa, should just not be short term that way, based on food, money, and material possessions. It could also be you investing in somebody's education, in their skill training too.
This pressure on everybody that I have to wear new clothes. No, actually it is a message that you give the new clothes you were going to buy for yourself. Why don't you buy for a lot of people, because
Right.
they don't get that.
Right. And I do
during
think
it.
that the Child Protection Welfare Bureau, that is very, actively involved in this. They've actually had collaborations with very known designers who give all the children staying there new clothes, that on occasions like Eid. And this is something that we have been, observing it with reference to other, welfare organizations too. I'll come towards you, and I think here, the role of educators, I feel, is extremely important, especially when it comes to instilling those values of, social justice, of empathy, of inclusion too, that too on occasions like Eid. So what changes do you feel would be necessary to make to our education system if we are to make, occasions like Eid truly inclusive? Inclusive not only to the extent of women perhaps, but also perhaps, transgenders or differently able persons.
I think, when you look at the national curriculum for Pakistan, and you look at the context of Islamiyat and how they speak about, Eid, it doesn't really cover, what Eid really means, right? So it does talk about the food, it talks about the celebration, it talks about giving back, but only in a very small portion, right? So it needs to be taught better, right? Because schools do it, right? As an international baccalaureate school, right, we also have something called Creativity Action Service,
Right.
which means that we teach our students, how to give back responsibly. So, for example, it might be something as simple as our students teaching the students of Bela Jamal's school, Sanjay Nagar, which is brilliant. Our parents, because I'm in all the WhatsApp group of the parents, right, who have created, an SOS, not one day, but sustainable.
Right.
As
It
well.
has to be sustainable effort.
Absolutely. But, one thing that I truly promote at TNS is student agency,
Right.
where the students are the ones that lead it, but there has to be a succession plan as well. so it can carry on for years.
Right.
Right?
Definitely. And I'll come towards you, Zainab. And I think we must talk about the way we've, lived and, of course, celebrated Eid over a period of time. So when it comes to, comparing and contrasting your childhood Eid to what it is now, what would be that one tradition that you would want to perhaps relive today, something that you don't get to see anymore?
So for me, it was more about Chandrat. That was a very big thing for us girls. I can't speak for the boys, but for girls, my younger khalas, they would put mehndi for us. Now it's call the mehndi lady home or go somewhere to a salon and get it done. It's not as personal as it used to be. That's something that I miss. And then in the morning, going to Nani and Dadi and getting Eidi from everyone. And, that actually reinforced.
Do you not miss your family, given that you have been spending all these Eids by yourself, especially since you made the move to Lahore?
Absolutely. I miss it so much. This year, tomorrow, I will be going, and so I will see them for a little while at least. But I have also enjoyed my Eid here because last year we were talking about the essence of giving. I had children from a halfway home come and an orphanage. They came and had Eid lunch with me. There were many of them who wanted to see the kitchen and how a professional kitchen works. So we spent it like that, and I think that's so fulfilling that it makes up for the lack of family.
Right. I think one tradition that I particularly miss, especially when it comes to food, is having that perfect display of food. The perfect Eid food trolleys. But I do know that to some extent that you perhaps might have made it up, because just yesterday I was seeing on Instagram this amazing platter of food that you have prepared for Eid and previously for Iftar, right? I'll come towards you, Ms. Humayun, moving towards the end of the show. So my last question to you before we wrap up this segment of our special Eid show would be that how can we as a society work towards, making Eid inclusive, that too particularly for the downtrodden segments of the Pakistani society, maybe people or women who might be single, who might have lost their husbands, and they might not be that affluent that way, or even for that matter, orphans too. Why is it so important to make our, Eid celebrations inclusive, that too with regards to marginalized sectors?
Now they're very inclusive. It's not necessarily people have to be couples, or they have to have a couple to be, or they have to have children. So everybody's inclusive, everybody has families, and the family system needs to be more promulgated, because it's it's becoming like a single person or one unit only.
Right.
They are not going into extended family. I think family is very important. All the warmth, the love, the security, and as you say, you never feel lonely because you at least have a home to go to just for a cup of tea also, not only on Eid. So that custom, that tradition, that culture of ours is so rich, and it should be kept alive.
Right.
And with the Gen Z, as you're saying, rightly so, that they're becoming very remote, very into themselves, very me, myself and I. No, me, myself and I is no approach in this culture.
Right, that needs to change. I agree
and
with you
about old homes and about going to orphanages, as Ian told you that they go to SOS. I think you should, there's Bali Memorial Old Age Homes, and there is Ma Basera Old Age Home. There's many old age homes which are also not, and there are people who are living alone also.
Right.
There are lots of people, by the way, couples and single people, older, that whose children all are abroad.
Right. And they've no
And there
way
is many like that. And it's not about that, and they're very lonely that day. And it should be that you should look around your homes, your neighborhood, and invite them over.
Right, that's
Make
what I was
them
about
part
to
of
say.
your family celebration.
Right. Give them time.
Yes,
I think because on occasions like Eid, time is the most important thing of all.
So you
as
invite
opposed to
them
giving
over,
people
make
gifts,
them
right.
inclusive, because their children are abroad, they're alone, they're older, elderly people who cannot travel.
Right.
So this is all what our community is all about.
Right, Huma. Coming towards you, Ian. So before we conclude this segment on our special Eid show, I think a very interesting question that I would want to put to you would be that for somebody who doesn't, know about Pakistani Eid and the way we do celebrate it, what are the 3 words in which you would best describe our Pakistani Eid celebrations?
So I've been thinking about this all day.
It's a tough question.
I've had a conversation with my administration team
Right.
at TNS.
You don't need to. You live here. You
I
celebrate
know,
Eid.
but because there's one word that I want to add in.
Right.
That's 4,
Right.
really, because, I would always say, of course, family. I would always say celebration. I would always say giving. But one word I think that's missing
And what is that?
is reflection.
That's so
Yes.
true,
Yeah,
definitely.
and I
Yes.
think we have to have reflection.
And it's
in there as
extremely
well.
important.
Absolutely.
Well,
So that's my
I think that's
summary.
very aptly put. Thank you. Coming towards you, Zainab. So, to conclude today's show, what would you be your message, your one message with regards to hope and unity for us as Pakistanis, and even those who are celebrating, Eid abroad, perhaps not in the best of circumstances? What would be your one message when it comes to working towards a more unified, a more cohesive, and definitely a more inclusive society, that too only?
So, because I've had to celebrate Eid on my own without my family, I've learned that it doesn't matter if your own blood relatives are not there. Eid means including everyone in your
Absolutely.
celebration. So, you make family where you go. And I don't ever want to be disheartened. I always want to have hope, because without hope, we have nothing. So,
So
my
true.
message is, look at Eid as a time for your life to change. If things are not going your way, look at this as your time to start your new year, I would call it. In a positive way, and good things are going to come. There will always be bad times, but they are always going to be good times.
You need to be patient. They say
You
it
need
right
to
when
be
they say that,
patient.
good things come to those who actually wait.
Absolutely.
Right. And thank you, Zainab. On which note I would like
Thank
to
you.
conclude today's show. Thank you so much, Homa. Thank you so much, Ian. And thank you
you.
so much, Zainab, for your time today. On that note, I would like to conclude this first segment of our special Eid show. We spoke about, how social media has impacted our traditional Eid celebrations. We also spoke about, how entertainment industry generally has been maneuvered with regards to Eid blockbuster releases, that too on occasions like Eid. But don't go anywhere, because after the break, we will be having an equally interesting, rather wonderful lineup of guests with whom, we'll be engaging in more lively and more interesting conversations. There's lots of laughter and lots of music to follow too. So don't go anywhere, stay tuned and keep watching PTV World.